Welcome back to This Week. Time now to get the views of our media and political experts, Metro Councilman at Large Jerry Maynard, and heard on 1510 WLAC syndicated talk show host Steve Gill. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Busy week on Tennessee's Capitol Hill. Here's my read. You guys tell me if I'm right or wrong or what you think about this. But the more conservative Republican majority in the state legislature has decided to not wait on the more moderate Republican governor and says, we have the votes, we're going to move ahead with our agenda. You can follow us, but we're not waiting for you to lead.
I think that's a lot of what's going on, and I think part of it is that there hasn't been a coordinated effort that should be coming from the governor's office of here's the priority list of how we're going to roll out legislation, here's how we're going to try to work with the speaker and work with the lieutenant governor, with the big majorities that they have, to say we're going to roll this out first and pass it, we're going to roll this out from kind of a communication standpoint. I think that's what they're missing. I'm not sure whether it's ideology, I'm not sure whether it's really a void of leadership. I think it's just not thinking in terms of what's the communication plan for what order we do stuff.
I don't think it has anything to do with Haslam being a moderate. It's about not having a vision. When he was elected to create jobs. We talked about jobs, jobs, jobs. The Republicans ran on a platform of creating jobs, and we see that they're doing everything but creating jobs. There's no job package from the governor. There's no job package from the House or the Senate, which are both controlled by the Republicans. Instead, we get immigration, immigration, immigration. We talk about all of these other issues regarding collective bargaining agreement. There is no package, no vision, no legislation dealing with jobs, and that's what citizens of Tennessee are concerned about. And instead of doing that, they're worried about what Metro government is doing as local elected officials. And this is the first time that I will argue a Federalist argument that they don't need to tread on us. And Metro leave.
You're talking about the non-discrimination policy.
The non-discrimination policy and Representative Cassidy's fast-track legislation to overturn what the elected body of Metro Council or Metro government, we're elected to lead, we're elected to do with the will of the people of Davidson County. Cassidy is not a resident of Davidson County. He needs to mind his own business and represent his district.
Well, I would point out, by the way, that the illegal immigration legislation that's being pushed through is intended to help take the illegals out of the jobs that are being denied to Tennesseans. So I think you could argue that that is certainly one of the job packages.
That's your job package?
But they are not promoting what they can do to have kind of a bigger vision and a bigger platform. And frankly, I think it's surprising that that wasn't the first thing that they rolled out. I think the legislature's been waiting for the governor, and I think that void is kind of what's leaving.
From their perspective, these are kind of social issues, and they're saying these are the issues the people elected us to talk about and deal with, as well as jobs. We're going to deal with these first regarding ending collective bargaining, which may happen. They have the votes to do it. The immigration issue, English only when driver's license testing is given. These are their first attempts, and their rationale is this is what people in Tennessee favor.
And when you look at the polls, you're talking about stuff that has 75 to 80% support. So it's not like they're going on the cutting edge stuff that's barely popular. I mean, a voter ID to vote to make sure that we're doing the same kind of restrictions that getting on a Southwest airline flight, buying cold medicine at Publix or a cold beer, those are required in those cases. Why wouldn't our elections be at least as important as buying a cold beer at Publix?
But it doesn't address, as you said, the issue of unemployment, which is over 9%, and how to create jobs and bring more industry.
And plus what they did, they ran and they said that Obama was not focused on jobs. Obama was focused on health care reform, which Americans at the time when he's elected wanted him to deal with health care reform. We were focused on all these other issues. Now the Republicans are in power, and what do? They do the bait and switch, and they did just what the Democrats did. Instead of dealing with jobs and the creation of jobs and looking at the economy, they focus on social issues that only deals with their base. So they're not representing they're not representing the welfare of the citizens of Tennessee. They're representing the interests of their base, their narrow right-wing base.
Well, I think that when you look at the poll numbers, again, you're looking at 75, 80% support for most of these issues. I'm glad you think our base is that big. That's a pretty good base to work from, and I think if you're supporting what 75 to 80% of the people want in Tennessee, you're on the right track. I think, as I pointed out here many weeks ago, the Republicans were making a mistake if they went too far out of the limb saying they were going to cure the joblessness rate in Tennessee, because ultimately, if the national unemployment rate is, as Gallup says it is today, 10%, Tennessee's not going to be at 5 or 6%. So I was warning during the campaign and afterwards, don't go too far down on that limb, because there is a limit to what you can do.
Well, I also said during the campaign that Haslam never gave us a plan. Haslam was never gave us a certain platform that he was running on. It was always, I'm just this nice guy, mama and apple pie. And now that he's in office, guess what? He promises a job package. We don't have that. He's never taken a stand on any issues. He's waffling on the different things that his party is leading. And so he has shown to us what he did during the campaign. And that is, he looks nice. He's a nice guy, nice looking guy. He may have been a good mayor, mayor, but he's not showing any strong leadership as a governor. And right now, we need strong leadership from the governor. Where's our Speaker of the House? Where is she? Has she come up with a plan? Is she leading the House members? I'm seeing from Cassida and Senator Ketchum, but I'm not seeing from the Speaker of the House to see what her leadership, what her vision, what her platform is.
I think we have to acknowledge, though, that Governor Haslam has found a bigger mess in the budget than it was expected to be. I mean, it's a $1.5 billion hole, and what we found is that contrary to what we've heard legislators sitting right here claim for the last year, where they were only using stimulus money for one-time spending, well, now it appears they were also funding continuing programs with that money, contrary to what we've been told by other legislators in past months. So they're now having to figure out how do they fill what's being lost and still fill a $1.5 billion hole. So I think the problem's been bigger than they expected, and rightly so, they've been focusing their attention on the budget.
But does there need to be some kind of jobs package to come down from the governor's office, or at least some kind of incentive to come in and say, okay, this is what we're doing to attract more business, which he hasn't said just yet?
Yes, and the reason why is because the Republicans said we're waiting on Governor Haslam to give us a job package. That's what they said for the last few weeks. We're waiting on Governor Haslam. We will not step in front of him. We will not get in front of him. We'll wait for his job package to come. It never came.
Or as you said, if you can't create jobs, at least a way of a direction.
And the governor's given some indications of what he has as sort of his image of what he's wanting to put into a plan. You know, he wants to focus more on growing small businesses rather than just going out and trying to attract big companies to come here. Those incentives cost money. You get into the kind of situations we're looking at with Amazon. You get them here, and then you got to figure out how do we pay for it, or how do we not make them pay taxes that they would otherwise pay, and that other Tennessee companies may be paying. So he wants to focus on rural Tennessee. He wants to focus on small business, but that needs to translate from a goals list to a plans list.
Steve Gill, Jerry Maynard, appreciate your time and your insights. Stay with us. This week continues in a moment.